Greetings, viewers, and welcome back to another episode of FitzRupee Cast featuring Dawn of War 2 Retribution. Red-Rupee here, calling the shots for you as always, and we are once again on the Imperial City map of Golgotha Depths. So before we get started, I wanted to point out that I did put up a little survey, and I did take note of it, on my Facebook page. If you guys are looking for me outside of my YouTube channel, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Steam, all the fun stuff. I always put those links at the bottom of every video description, so check those out. I put up surveys, screenshots, links to my videos, general Dawn of War 2 news and ramblings, all that fun stuff. But anyways, I was asking about what kind of matchups you like to see, or what haven't you seen that you'd like to, and the general consensus was there is too much power armor, and I checked it out. I'll digress, you guys were right. I've only casted a single game this entire year so far without any power armor in it, and sad to say this isn't going to be one of those games, but we do have a team of 2 Eldar. Let's take a look at our players today. We've got Tide over here. I don't know if that's Tid or Tide or Teed, whatever. Well, I'm going to say Tide as the Eldar Warlock, and then rounding out our enigmatic Eldar matchup is AceOfSwords as the Warp Spider Exarch. Then on the red team, we've got Giddolo as our Blood Ravens painted but Grey Knight playing brother captain, and then Shark as our sinister Lord Commissar. So let's go ahead, get this game on the road. We've got Eldar versus an alliance of men and space marines, so this should work out pretty well. 3 melee heroes, 1 ranged hero, and it should be a good match. Right off the bat, I want to note that Tide is actually going for some Banshees, and I'm not sure if he's doing that not knowing that he's against. It could be random starting locations, so he may not be aware that he's against Shark, but Banshees against Imperial Guard is generally not a good plan. He probably should have gone for some Dire Avengers first and then seen if he wanted to get those Banshees, but we'll have to see how that plays out. Banshees can always be useful, but it's just a bit more difficult against Imperial Guard, with the Sentinel being such a pain in the butt for Eldar early game. So AceOfSwords going for a squad of Banshees himself. Giddolo went for his 2 Stormtroopers first, and then bringing his strike squad out afterwards. So going for that kind of initial burst damage, I guess, against the Eldar Dire Avengers and Banshees, and then bringing the strike squad on to be a little meatier later on. As we can see up top, Shark already picking off a couple Dire Avengers that quickly with the Sentinel. The Sentinel just really messes them up early on. You really need to have your energy shields on the ball and be reacting quickly whenever you see that Sentinel show up as Eldar. In the middle, we've got Giddolo charging around with the brother captain, picking off a Guardian or 2 himself, but it looks like they're going to hop into that Orc Guard Tower, head out of here, and force the brother captain off before he can do too much more damage. Shark being awfully aggressive right out of the gate here, putting up his multi-laser turret, going to lock down this contested power node. This is a map that you really need to try to be on top of the contested nodes, because both sides only have a single power node that's natural. This isn't like most 2-on-2 maps where you get 2 or 3 power nodes to yourself. You only get the 1, and then the other 3 are contested across the middle of the map. So if you can really lock down 1 or 2 of those, it gets you a solid tech advantage. We've got a little melee scuffle right here between 2 sides. Banshees, meanwhile, charging in headlong. And oh my gosh, double Banshees from Tide. I haven't seen that in a long time, and I don't know if it's going to work against the Imperial Guard. Sentinel does not have the stomp upgrade, though, so he's actually going to have to yield to the Banshees. A bit of an oversight. As soon as he saw those Banshees, that stomp upgrade pretty much should have been his first choice. These Banshees need to stop chasing, though. They're about to come into the range of the Imperial Guard turret and the rest of the infantry army. But in the meantime, down bottom, it looks like we got a big grenade going down, but it's just a split second too late. Had it been a bit earlier, it would have given the squad. Actually, there's one trailing guy right there, hanging way back, that would have dodged that explosion. But still, nice retreat grenade. Banshees moving in on those Stormtroopers, and actually might take them out. Down goes a squad of Stormtroopers early for Giddolo. Big play right there by AceOfSwords. Grenade going down, and Strike Squad taking it full on 2 of those models. Pretty big damage right there. And it looks like this Dire Avenger squad, actually, instead of retreating, as I was about to say, is just going to seek refuge inside that guard tower. Lots of sneaky garrisons around this map, so you can really kind of stall out if there isn't anti-garrison on the field. But there is a purgation squad coming on the field shortly, so those Guardians are going to have to be very aware of their situation throughout the game. Another grenade going off. We've got grenades and banshees all over the place. Tons of guardsmen go down to that one. Nice shot indeed from those Dire Avengers, but they need to start getting some shields up to minimize that bleed against the Sentinel and Imperial Guard army. All of those guardsmen that just died to that grenade is probably equal to the couple of Guardians that are about to go down here on this Dire Avenger squad. I know they're Dire Avengers, but I've said Guardians for 2 years, and it's a hard habit to break. So Guardians and Dire Avengers are going to be synonymous in this cast. 443 to 441, both sides losing some BPs here and there. Nothing decisive yet, however. Brother Captain having to retreat through some Banshees. They know they're not going to take him out. He's still got a huge pool of HP, so they're just going to move in on some Stormtroopers and maybe try to take a wreck point or two from the Grey Knight player. So Shark did get himself a suppression squad, so between that and the Sentinel, which still doesn't have the stomp upgrade, surprisingly, he should be able to deal with these Banshees without too much issue. Destructor going down for the Warlock. Warlock also has the Immolator Blade, which is going to be great for dealing with Imperial Guard. Unfortunately, he falls while trying to cast right there, and the Banshee's charging headlong into this heavy weapons team. That's not how you wanted to play it. If anything, what he should have done, and I think they both have the aspect of fleetness, what he should have done is move them in on separate approach vectors and just gone in from this side and then gone in from this side. That suppression team would only have tagged one, and being low HP like it is from that Immolate, it probably would have gone down. So that's something I see so often in Company of Heroes, actually, but never in this game, is that these heavy weapon setup teams can only actually suppress in one direction at a time. They can't change between bursts, or they can change between bursts, but during that initial burst, they can't just switch targets oftentimes. So really, if you have two melee squads like that, just split them up and charge one position. You can probably get in on that heavy weapons team, and with the amount of Banshees, the amount of DPS that Banshees do, that can almost guarantee a dead setup squad. Not that we often see a double Banshee build anyways, but it works with any two melee squads. Sluggers and Storm, something similar like that. You don't always have to use that jump right away. Anyways, so far, really neither side's had a decisive play. Giddolo lost an early squad, but it didn't cost him too much. Tide's been having a hard time approaching the Imperial Guard player, as would be expected with a double Banshee build. Sentinel finally has been upgraded with its Stomp. Guardsmen falling back all over the place. Looks like the Warp Spider's been doing a lot of just jumping around, being pain in the butt with its melee, keeping those Stormtroopers from being able to fire at all. Sentinel's out there. I hear a worse cry somewhere on the map, and down here we can see the Banshees tearing in to some strike squads, and they actually need to be very careful. The Banshee's getting a bit low. Strike squad's also low. That strike squad needs to get out of there, though. It doesn't look like they're going to win that engagement. They might actually go down right here. Grenade going down. It didn't even need to, though. Hits one of those Purgation squad members. The strike squad went down. Banshees got out of there. And there's still plenty more Eldar around here to cause some more trouble. Brother Captain in some trouble, but he's probably going to be all right. That is a lot of Banshees following him back to base, though. But I think all things considered, he's going to get out of there. Everyone's heading into Tier 2 in the meantime. Not many of the players at all spent much power in Tier 1. Everybody kept it fairly light. Tide did lose his Guardians somewhere on the field, though. His Dire Avengers went down, possibly right here where there appear to be 5 of them standing right next to that point. Perhaps he was focused on that melee engagement, lost track of them on that BP, and down they went. Sentinel Stomp going off right there, catching another Banshee squad, and that's really the problem, is that Stomp, or even a setup team, anything along those lines, can really just shut down your Banshees. Was that a Guardsman squad that went down right there? I think it was. Shark down to just one Guardsman squad, and Tide and Ace of Swords really putting on some hurt with what I expected to be kind of a fail build here with 3 squads of Banshees. Grenade going down, it doesn't hit, actually connects with the Warp Spider, who could have probably teleported in and maybe finished off that Purgation squad. Looks like he doesn't quite manage to get the hits he needs to. He probably needed 2 or 3 melee swings. but a little bit of friendly fire on that grenade. Still a nice play. Building is just pretty much not an option right now for the red team. Between immolate and 2 or 3 grenades being on the field, it's not a safe bet at all. So going into Tier 2, Shark's going to want to make sure he gets himself that Sarge upgrade on the heavy weapons team pretty quickly. As soon as the Warlock hits Tier 2, I'm sure he can get the Warp Throw ability, pull that setup team out of position, and allow those Banshees to just swarm it. He really needs to keep that set up, keep those Banshees under the control, keep the Sentinel in a position to stomp them if they try to approach. Right now, heavy weapons team just sitting on top of that immolate, trying to make sure that Warlock goes down before it unsets up. Chimera on the field for Shark, bringing out that second Guardsman squad that he lost. And uh-oh, we see Banshees coming in for the flank. That Sentinel needs to get there to engage. It looks like it's going to intercept, knocks them all down. That heavy weapons team still needs to be very careful, however, as there are 2 more squads of Banshees coming in from the other opposing side right here. Heavy weapons team trying to get into that Sentinel, into that Chimera. Banshees dangerously low, they need to get out of there. One squad looks like it's going to escape. There's still 2 more here though, and everything's just hiding and seeking refuge inside of that Chimera. The only problem with double Banshees is that I think going aspect of fleetness on both may be a mistake because you've invested so much in them. You probably really want them to be able to deal with vehicles. Brother Captain doing a big powerful sweep there. I thought he was about to go down. Warlock does go down, however, to the Purgation Squad, now upgraded with the Psy Cannons, which is very powerful anti-all ranged weapon. Anyone fighting Grey Knights is probably familiar with it. Grenade goes down a bit too early though, and the Imperial Guard, after being able to hide inside of that Sentinel from the melee threat of the Banshees, is still out here in full force. So it looks like after a strong Tier 1, the Eldar actually having a bit of a trouble right here in Tier 2. Giddolo went for a double Purgation Squad build, which is going to be very nasty against that kind of lightly armored Eldar infantry. Really going to need to set up some Dire Avenger energy shields to kind of try to negate some of that range damage. As we go into Tier 2, these Avengers are going to become a lot more durable with their Warlocks, or Exarchs now I believe they are. But they're still going to need a little bit of range damage mitigation against all these Purgation squads. Grenade going down right there, forces everything back. The Banshees didn't even need to engage with the Chimeras coming back in, and the Eldar still have pretty much no anti-vehicle at all. And AceOfSwords getting himself a Falcon, but they're really going to need to knock out this Chimera if they hope to have any consistent map presence at all. They've been doing some great hit and fade stuff throughout Tier 1, but they really haven't been able to get a solid hold on the map, as they are pretty much just a quick mobile army right now, and once they take a little bit of damage, they kind of just have to fall back after their initial push. Wraithguard on the field though, I think that's going to be an excellent choice. Actually, AceOfSwords canceled his Falcon and also going for a Wraithguard. These 2 Banshees taking range fire from all kinds of stuff right now though. The entire Imperial Guard army just pouring fire into those Banshees. One squad's about to go down, it looks like it might get out of there. Wraithguard trying to get some shots off, but the Brother Captain wisely choosing to engage and keep that from going down. Banshees need to retreat. I don't know why he didn't hit the retreat button. He just lost a squad there. I was really hoping to see some excellent stuff from that double Banshee build, but it looks like one of them is already down. Heavy weapons team in a lot of trouble, however, and actually gets reinforced on the bottom part of the ledge right here, down by the Chimera, so it manages to survive. Banshee's now engaging, dropping the battle cry on that Purgation squad. Actually didn't suppress the second squad though, surprisingly enough, and they're taking huge damage because of it. Kind of an unfortunate happenstance right there. Had both of those squads been suppressed, the Banshees would have been able to stick around a lot longer, and both of these Wraithguards just proving that they haven't been able to do anything on this first push that they've appeared. Brother Captain equipped with his teleporter pack, so he just kind of engaged the first. Once that was dealt with, he jumped over, took on the second threat, and the red team completely locks down, secure in their hold on the center. VP drops an additional 3 generators and is really going to start pulling ahead in tech here. AceOfSwords recognizing now that the Chimera is really just the linchpin of the Imperial Guard strategy, decides to get himself a Guardian weapons team. Going to be upgrading that to a Bright Lance to really be able to put some pressure on it. And man, look at this Nemesis Demon Hammer. It's just been tearing stuff up. 2 grenades go down from the Dire Avengers, don't really connect. force those purgation squads, though, to move around a lot. They can't fire while moving. One of them actually goes down to melee from that Dire Avenger Exarch. Don't see that very often. He was a bit too brazen, just keeping that purgation squad in there too long. Those Dire Avengers actually will do a little reasonable damage in melee, and when you've got a dedicated range squad right there, oh, huge hit from that double Wraith Guard burst right there, completely obliterated an upgraded Stormtrooper squad. And those Wraith Guards starting to pay off now finally, although the red team does have a triple cap. Commissar Flare going down there, probably a little unnecessary. Brother Captain wasn't going to go down, but preventing any kind of unnecessary, unfortunate circumstance, I suppose. Warlock has been down at one point or another. It seems like most of the Eldar heroes have been down at some time or another. Commissar getting a sync kill on the Banshee and actually finishing it off. I think a grenade went down there along with the Lord Commissar. Managed to take out the second of Tide's Banshee squads. And that's going to be very unfortunate. You can kind of see right now that both Tide and Giddolo really been taking the heavy losses for their respective teams. Meanwhile, AceOfSwords and Shark still with very full, very potent armies. Lord Commissar moving in to engage these Wraith Guard. There is, however, a Bright Lance setting up on the far side of the battle, and he might not even see it. It looks like that Chimera's just sitting there. Meanwhile, heavy fire being exchanged between these two armies. The Wraith Guard's just blasting away at those Guardians and Guardsmen. Look at all the bits. The Chimera goes down to the Bright Lance. That Sentinel in a bit of trouble as well. Looks like that heavy weapons team may go down, but it might be able to escape. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure what the War Spider's firing at. He does manage to pick it off, and that was an excellent push. Eldar really bringing it back here in this last engagement. Unfortunately, AceOfSwords did just lose his Wraith Guard to the Brother Captain. Brother Captain upgraded and kitted out with all kinds of goodies right now. You can see he's got himself the Holy Armor of the Titan, which gave him that brief invulnerability. He's got that Demon Hammer. He's got the Teleporter Pack. Really a force to be reckoned with at this point in the game. There's really no consistent range damage out right now to be able to deal with him, so he's kind of just stomping along and beating up these Wraith Guard. He already taken out a full squad, now punching some more, dropping the hammer. He is the hammer, and he has the hammer. He's just all about hammers today. But man, the Eldar really needs something out here to deal with him. There aren't any Dire Avengers out here to just kite him around and pour range damage into him. And of course those Wraith Guard just aren't able to hit moving targets very well at all. Brother Captain finally teleports out, but we've got two squads of Guardsmen and a squad of Cassicans actually as well. Already upgraded with their weapon expertise. Both of the red team players in tier 3. Bright Lance needs to be very careful, taking tons of damage. Warp Spider comes up, and the Warp Spider and Warlock actually both very high level. So is the Brother Captain. Brother Captain's level 7, and we've seen it throughout the game, just dealing heavy damage everywhere. I feel like the Warp Spider and the Warlock, however, have gotten most of their experience from rezzing each other. Grenade going down right there doesn't quite connect. They didn't have the throw range that they necessarily needed to land that shot, but trying to maybe do a little mind game, threaten them a bit. But the Eldar, now that they made that push, really need to hold the map, because they're down to 133 points to 381. Red team lost a lot there, though. They lost that Chimera, lost the setup team, lost the Sentinel, and Giddolo down to just a couple squads. So this is really the perfect opportunity for Tide and AceOfSwords to bring this back. There's really not much that the red team can do, even on their own. They're really just going to have to one-on-one. The blue team can deal with either of them. So the red team's going to have to really concentrate their efforts and make just a concerted push to get in there and push them off the center VP. They've got plenty of time to do so, though, so it's not like they really need to stress it that much. But wow, is that oh no, I was about to say is that a second Cassican squad, but it's just another Assault Stormtrooper squad. Unfortunately, nothing on the field's going to be able to deal with two squads of Wraith Guard and a Falcon. Tons of Guardsmen bits everywhere as that first volley just opens up. Artillery blasting away. Rocket run going down, but doesn't quite do anything. Actually, I'm surprised that second volley missed. Falcon took quite a bit of damage. Wraith Guards hopping back inside, changing the tides, turning it around a little bit for that Imperial Guard player, saying, hey, I've got a transport too, I can hide a little bit as well. Looks like Guardians engaging with a Purgation Squad once again, not quite working out how it did the first time. The Guardians, or the Dire Avengers rather, can actually deal some decent melee damage, but they're not going to win straight up against a power armor squad, even if it's not a dedicated melee squad. The only reason they got that kill earlier was because it was in fact very low health when the melee started, so I think perhaps Ace of Swords was just trying that out, seeing if they actually could beat a Purgation Squad melee, and we saw that they can. Stormtrooper Squad looks like it narrowly got out of that engagement on that side of the map. And uh-oh, it looks like we've got a Land Raider Crusader coming onto the field shortly here. There's the call-in marker right there next to that secondary power farm for the red team. And the Purgation Squad is moving in to support it, so as soon as it hits the field, it's going to start rolling out into the center. There's a Wraith Lord on the field, blue team with a couple vehicles, but they're going to need a little more AV to deal with something that large. Altark on the field for Ace of Swords, and everybody's just kind of recovering, trying to get their armies back into shape. Ace of Swords needs to help his buddy out. Ty doesn't have any Dire Avengers, so he needs to get something over here to fix up that Falcon. That Falcon, I feel like, is going to be integral in holding the center map right here shortly. Warp Spider upgraded with the Entangling Web, which would really help them deal with that Brother Captain. I think that's a good choice. That Brother Captain's really been causing a headache, so he's going to be needing to keep him still and just allow the Eldar to open fire on him before he can run around charging with that Nemesis Hammer. Big grenade going down right on top of Wraith Guard and the Bright Lance. Manages to do some pretty solid damage. Warlock taking tons of fire, however, and it looks like the Bright Lance is about to go down. Oh, actually, it retreated just in the nick of time. You noticed, but it was a bit late. I didn't think it was getting out of there, but I was mistaken. Stormtroopers taking tons of fire. That Stormtrooper Assault Squad is so very potent now that once you get that Assault Kit, it does come with both Cloak and a great big old grenade. So if you don't have any detectors, your setup teams have to be very, very careful. Banshee's getting pushed off. That Crusader just hanging out on that side of the map, pushing back anything that gets challenged. Fire Prism coming onto the field as Shark once again gets routed by these dual Wraith Guard squads. If you can make it work, those Wraith Guards can just be so very devastating. But otherwise, they tend to be kind of hard to pull off. Anyways, oh, here comes an Eldritch Storm right on top of that Land Raider. Disables it, does a nice chunk of damage on top of it. These two Wraith Guards now going to be able to start pouring some volleys into that thing. There's also a Bright Lance in the back. Falcon's on the field. This Crusader's in a lot of trouble. Unfortunately, it looks like those Wraith Guard are trying to engage it in melee or something, or move around. I'm not sure what's happening there. Tide calling nice bug right there, but I don't think that Land Raider's getting out of there either way. It just would have gone down a few seconds sooner had those Wraith Guard been able to fire. 70 HP. It looks like it might actually get out of here. I'm not sure what's going to happen. The Commissar Flare goes down. Fire Prism's on the field trying to get a shot. But it looks like Swift Movement was activated, and there goes the final shot way from the backfield from that Fire Prism, taking out the Land Raider. Those Grey Knights have to get the heck out of there because there's two Wraith Guards waiting for them as soon as they popped out of that transport. And we've got this nice black and purple Fire Prism hanging out here in the center, getting ready to blast away at some guardsmen, if I were to guess. I think it's out of sight range, though. Of course, the Fire Prism can't see nearly as far as it can shoot. It really needs to be supported. Getting a little too close to the action, though. I think it just needs to hang back a bit. And here comes the Fire Prism. Two squads of Wraith Guard. Those guardsmen need to just run. They do indeed. Immediately falling back. If they had stuck around for even another second, that would have been huge losses. Probably some down squads. Guardsmen dead everywhere. Corpses all over the place, and maybe some bits that we haven't seen. Oh man, Wraith Guard's making tons of bits this game. Tide moving into Tier 3. Ace of Swords obviously already there with his Fire Prism. Purifier's on the field. I think that's kind of a curious choice. I guess there is only one dedicated melee squad. The Banshees are out here. They are, however, level 4. and level 4 Banshees are nothing to mess around with. I feel like between the Purifiers and the Brother Captain, though, they can probably deal with that threat pretty well. These Purgation Squad needs to be very careful. Grenades going down on that garrison. There goes one. There goes a second. The Banshee's waiting to finish it off. Brother Captain trying to scare off this range damage so that Purgation Squad can be safe. I think those Banshees should have just stuck back there. Brother Captain activating his invulnerability, and the Purifiers are now engaged in melee with those Banshees. The Banshees' power melee, though, still going to be doing lots of bonus damage to their power armor despite their upgrades. They are a very fierce melee squad, but they're not going to stand up against level 4 fully upgraded Banshees. Justicar might be getting out of there, might not. Depends on if the Banshees, they do get one more hit just as it was about to escape through those cargo containers into the Grey Knight base.
Ready.
And then the center, looks like everything's kind of just hanging out right now. We've got Las Cannon Rhino on the field, and that Altark Executioner doing big damage to it. It is still probably got its heavy infantry armor, so nice sneaky decap there by the Stormtrooper squad. Red team trying to stretch this out a little bit. The blue team's really brought it back, got a 2-0 cap. Baneblade on the field and really going to be able to help control that center so long as they keep those Wraithguard under control. And I think what the red team was trying to do with those Purifiers, and obviously Shark's trying to do now, is they've recognized the Wraithguards as that kind of keystone threat for the Eldar army right now. And they're trying to get some melee on the field to help deal with it. The Brother Captain's been helping. The Lord Commissar really needs to get picked up so he can assist in keeping those tied up. But right now, with the Fire Prism out here, it's going to finish off that Razorback. I don't know why it was sitting up there on its own. It should have just been trying to get some las shots on that Fire Prism. A big oversight, as that Rhino would have been what was necessary to try to take out that Fire Prism. Falcon backing right into a rocket barrage, almost goes down. Actually has a single HP left. Very, very fortunate for Tide. He just hit tier 3. It would be sad if that went down before. Oh my gosh, another Eldritch Storm going down on that Baneblade. Really hammering any of these super tanks that come out. Eldritch Storm doing a great job, doing heavy damage, disabling them. Guardsman trying to get out of there. Is that that's a third Eldritch Storm? Perhaps the Imperial Guard and Space Marine should have checked the weather report before they chose to engage this Eldar threat in their Imperial city, because it is just raining lightning bolts from the sky today. That Falcon moving in, it still doesn't have its energy shield. Why did he not have that? That's a huge oversight. Falcon goes down. That's going to make these Wraithguard a lot harder to keep on the field sustainably. Ogryns do get pushed back. Baneblade down to under half health. The Warlock trying its damnedest to path block it and keep it from getting out of there. Trying to keep these two choke points from doing anything. Stormtroopers in a lot of trouble though, because they're engaged by both Banshees and the Warlock. They go down almost instantly. And a huge battle here in the center. Big old orbital bombardment going off, taking out a hero. Unfortunately, that Fire Prism took fire from 2 upgraded Purgation squads, and they actually can't deal with these 2 Dire Avengers right now. They're both level 4, I believe, and fully upgraded, and we can see that they're actually out DPSing these newly purchased Purgation squads with their Psi cannons. Baneblade still up after taking 2 storms to the face. Banshee's in a lot of trouble, trying to do some damage. Gotta sit on that MLA, try to take out these guardsmen, which are just relentlessly repairing away at this Baneblade. They refuse to let up. Some big shots from the Baneblade. Can't quite take down the Exarch, though. All the other Banshees have fallen. The Exarch's gonna go home and get herself a new squad. In the meantime, nice use of Entangling Web, buying the Warp Spider just enough time to cap, but he retreats before he gets the cap. Oh, that is a mistake. Oh, well. Minor oversight. Sometimes you hit that retreat button and try to time it just when you get that point, and it doesn't work out very well. Anyways, Brother Captain and Lord Commissar duking it out with the Altar. Commissar dealing some damage while the Bro Cap gets himself a VP. But man, the Eldar, I feel like, should really be able to close this out at this point. But they need to drop that Baneblade, and they need to keep the Ogryns under control. The Purgation squad is, of course, a threat, but it's just not going to really do the damage it needs to against all these heavily leveled Eldar squads. Both these Wraith Guards level 4. Everything on the Eldar side pretty much level 4 at this point. It's very unfortunate that Tide chose not to get himself another squad of Dire Avengers. He just lost a second vehicle to that. Had he been able to repair those would have been a much greater threat at this stage in the game. Ogren's harassing all kinds of Dire Avengers, but Banshees and an Avatar are moving into position, and they're in huge trouble. They drop the Bonehead, knock the Banshees away, but a Wailing Doom going down is not quite going to connect very well. And oh my gosh, I spoke too soon. The entire Ogren squad goes down. The damage must have been spread perfectly amongst all those models, because that Wailing Doom just finished off the entire squad. Oh my gosh, a fourth Eldritch Storm going down, annihilating the Baneblade, finishing off the bunker, doing heavy damage to the entire Shark Imperial Guard army. There's a lone squad left, 2 squads left for Giddolo, and I think that may well have sealed the deal. That's the problem with Golgotha Depths and those super tanks, is that there's only a few ramps to get into the center point, and it's just all choke points. If you're not very careful with your vehicle micro, you can easily lose them in those chokes. Brother Captain is still just bashing away with that hammer. He must have so many kills at this point. I think he's been killing a model with every swing of that at this point. He's level 10. But unfortunately, I think that's just not going to be enough for the red side. They were just unable to deal with all these Eldar dropping those storms all over the place. They just invested a bit too much in those tanks, which came out and just didn't do anything. They came out, made a couple shots, took out maybe a couple models, if that, and then just got Eldritch Stormed into oblivion. There were 4 that went off this game, 3 of them on that Baneblade, and it just completely negated them. So anyways, there goes the GG. The last few VPs are ticking off, and some excellent play there by Tide and AceOfSwords, really pulling it out there towards the end. I thought they were in a lot of trouble, but between that nice Falcon Wraith Guard play and dropping those storms at crucial moments, really managed to bring it back. Purgation Squad opening up on that hapless Warp Spider. Man, look at that lens flare. Those cannons must be bright. I don't even know how they can see their targets behind all that. Oh my goodness. But anyways, looks like a J.J. Abrams movie. But all right. Wow, that was a sweet match. If you guys were looking for Eldar play, I hope I delivered for you guys today. I know a lot of people were saying Eldar, no power armor, and I was diligently looking for some nice Eldar play, and luckily AceOfSwords and Tide obliged us with that one. Look at how great that Warlock looks in that shadow. That's pretty sweet. The 2 avatars on the field, all kinds of Wraith Guard. There wasn't much the red team was going to do about that. Anyways, this is Red-Rupee. Thanks for watching. Feel free to comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I always appreciate it. And I will be catching you guys next time.